Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very important grammar topic, that is active and passive voice. This is a very important topic for students from classes 6th to 12th and even for those who are preparing for competitive exams. I have divided this video into two parts. First part will throw light on what active voice is and what passive voice is and their difference. I'm even going to discuss where to use active voice and where to use passive voice. The second video will help you to convert sentences which are in active voice to passive voice. In these videos, I will be using a few terms and a few grammar things which I have already discussed in other videos prepared by me. In case you think you've not understood it here in this video, you can just go through those videos for a better knowledge and a reference. So let us get started with active and passive voice. But before we do that, we need to know what a sentence is. A sentence is a group of words joined together to give us some meaning. And there is a basic structure for a sentence, that is subject plus verb plus object. Subject is the doer of action. Verb is the action. And object is the person or the thing who is receiving the action. So with this basic knowledge of a sentence, now let us start with active voice. A sentence is said to be in active voice if the subject performs the action and the object receives that action. It is that very simple. That means the doer of action does the action and the receiver of action receives that action. That sentence is said to be in active voice if this happens. Now, the structure of a sentence in active voice is the first thing will be subject, that is the doer of action. So, subject will be followed by the action. Action is what? It is the verb. And this action will be received by an object. That means the structure of the sentence will be subject plus verb plus object. Let us take an example for the same now. I love my followers. Yes, I love my followers. Who is the person about whom we are talking in this sentence? I is the person about whom we are talking. So I is the subject, followed by the action. Yes, the action over here is love. And this is the verb of the sentence. Remember, the verb is in active form. And in active voice sentences, the verb will always be in its active form. Followed by the object. My followers are receiving my love. So they are the object over here. So subject plus verb plus object gives us what? It gives us a sentence in active voice. Now, there are three simple things that you need to remember for active voice. Action in active voice will always be expressed directly. You'll easily come to know what the action is actually. What is the verb in the sentence? Verbs are always going to be in active form. That is the first form or the second form of verb. Emphasis in the sentence will always be on the subject. So subject is going to be of prime importance in these sentences. Moving on to passive voice. Now, when do we call a sentence to be in passive voice? Sentences in which the verb shows that the subject is not the doer of the action are said to be in passive voice. So whenever your sentence is showing or it's not giving much importance to the subject, in that case your sentence is in passive voice. Passive voice. Just remember, passive voice is opposite of active voice. So the structure in active voice of a sentence was subject plus verb plus object. All you have to do is reverse it. You just have to make it opposite. So subject will go and sit in the position of the object, and object will jump and come in the front. That is all you have to do. So the structure of the sentence will be starting with object, followed by the action, that is the verb, followed by the subject. So this is how your subject will not get any importance anymore. So the structure will be object plus action plus subject, reverse order. One very important thing that you need to remember is that in active voice, your verb that you were using there was either in the first form or the second form. But in passive voice, it will be in its third form, the participle form. All right. Let us take the same old example that we took there in active voice. I love my followers. Now, this is active voice. Let us change it into passive voice. The subject over there was I and the object was my followers. Let us reverse it. So our sentence will start with object now, that is my followers. Action over there was love. We have to change it into third form of verb. Love will change to loved. And since we just cannot write my followers loved, we can't do that. To express that this is in third form, we need to use a helping verb. So I have used are over here as a helping verb. Are loved by me. So I have to change I into me, because whenever we are using a personal pronoun and we change its position, a personal pronoun in subject form is different, and when you change it into an object, it changes a little. To get a deeper knowledge about this, I have a video on personal pronouns prepared. You can just go through it to understand it better. So I will change to me. My followers are loved by me. So this sentence now is in passive voice. Do not forget, passive voice will always take a verb in third form, and it will also have a helping verb with it. And the subject will no more be of any importance now. Importance will be given to the object here. Now, since you all know what is an active voice and what is a passive voice, and you know their structures too, now the next question that arises is when to use them. When do we use active voice and when do we use passive voice? Always remember, most of the times we frame sentences in active voice. We generally use active voice. But there are few situations when we use passive voice too. That is why we learn it. So what are the situations where we are going to use passive voice? Number one, we use passive voice when we do not know who has done the action. There will be many sentences where you will see that you don't know who is the doer of action. That means we don't need to give importance to the doer of action. Those sentences are written or spoken in passive voice. Let us take an example. My bag was stolen at the fair. So here we don't know who stole the bag. We don't know who is the doer of action. So this sentence is in passive voice because we are not giving any importance to the subject. Object, that is my bag, is right in the beginning. My bag was stolen at the fair. Let us take another example. The announcement was heard. We don't know what is the subject over here. We don't know who made the announcement, who is the doer of action, okay? So the announcement was heard is again in passive voice. Second one, passive voice is used when the action is more important than who did it. That means when the verb is much more important than the subject. In such circumstances, we use passive voice. Let us take an example. The food is being prepared. Over here, what is more important? The action, that the preparing part is more important than what actually or who actually is doing it. Okay, we don't know who's preparing the food, so subject does not hold any importance to us over here. What is important is the action. The gas agency will be set up here. So here again, we don't know who is going to set up the gas agency, but we are more concerned about its setting up. So action is more important over here than the doer of action. So in these situations, we always use passive voice. Now let us quickly revise the difference between active and passive voice. Active voice. Active voice gives more importance to the subject. The doer of action is of prime importance in a sentence which is an active voice. And the structure is subject plus verb plus object. And the verb will always be in its active form. That is the first form or the second form of verb. Whereas passive voice gives more importance to the action which is being done, and we do not give much importance to the subject. Actually, we don't give any importance to the subject. And the structure goes reverse. So we first have the object, then the verb, and then the subject. Another major difference is that the verb is in its passive form. That is the third form of verb, the participle form of verb. This is the major difference between them, and always remember, we most of the times use active voice, but we use passive voice when we are not giving much importance to the subject or when we do not know who is the doer of action, or we do not want to lay much importance to the subject and we want to give more importance to the object. These are the situations when we use passive voice. I hope you all have understood the difference between active voice and passive voice, and you know their structures very well. Now to learn how to convert sentences from active voice to passive voice and passive to active, you can click on the link followed and move on to the next video. I hope you liked my video. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share my channel. Thank you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.